I wanted to talk about fears today. Not to bring negativity in on a Friday, but what scares us that we're uber positive right now in Philadelphia sports. So what are we scared of in Philadelphia sports going wrong? Because let's be honest, things never go right for us. That's what I wanted to talk about today. But I have a feeling today we're going to spend a lot more time on Sixers rumors because the Sixers and NBA free agency news is circulating and Roman, and it's hot right now, the topic. So we're going to talk about that. Jim, Chesko, Chet from Philly Pressbox Radio will be joining me at 8:30. Help him celebrate 500 episodes this weekend. Stay tuned, guys. It's a jam-packed Train the AM live right here, taking your thoughts and opinions on Edge of Philly Sports. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all. Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You know the drill wherever you're watching. Do what I'm doing right now. Hit that like button, that share button, that follow, subscribe wherever you're watching, whatever platform you are on. Make sure you do whatever you can to help spread the word and get as many people into the show and into the conversation today as possible. I'm your host every single morning right here on Train the AM. Phil Stiefel. You can find me on all social media platforms at Beard of Knowledge. Hang on one second here. Got two more shares to click, and we are set to go. I'm getting slacking on this right here today. But good morning, Elephant. How you doing this morning? We got lots circulating, lots going on, lots on the rumor mills today. I wanted to talk about fears today because we've been overly positive, maybe too positive lately, on the Phillies, the Sixers, the Eagles, even maybe a little too positive for my life. And I don't want to bring negativity into the conversation, but I do want to talk about, are we a little too overconfident? What fears do you have with our teams here going forward? Like, what do we need to see go right for things to go the way we expect them to go? Biggest fears from Elephant in the Room with the Phillies is them becoming content with where they are at and not looking to get better. Fear with the Sixers is that Josh Harris continues to own them. And fear with the Eagles is that WWWIP continues to talk about them in a negative light. They're my fears for sure. Look, the Sixers and the rumors with the Sixers, there are a lot of them. First off, obviously, yesterday in the NBA, you had Alex Caruso get traded for Josh Giddey straight up. Insane. Malik Monk signed a 4-year, $78 million deal to stay with the Kings. I actually do love the Malik Monk story of him going from a draft bust, quote unquote, to a really good NBA player. Rumors that the Sixers are off of Paul George, out on Zach LaVine. The Pelicans have called the Sixers on Brandon Ingram. You got JJ Redick as the new head coach of the Lakers. I threw something out there and I got laughed at for it. And I knew I was. That maybe that's how Joel Embiid wants out of Philly, is because him and JJ are such good friends that he'll want to go to LA to play with his buddy JJ Redick. I don't know. We're getting there too. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Good morning, little G. Hope you are well this morning. Hope you're well. So we got this on the agenda today to discuss. Obviously, also with the Eagles, positives and negatives, things we're scared of there as well. Obviously, can be brought up. I'm trying to find all my notes here, and shout out to my man Big Al filling in for me yesterday. I got a big pair of shoes to fill, and I'm sure Big Al did a great job. He did text me and say you guys drove him a little crazy, but we'll get there. But I believe in Al. I believe in Edge of Philly, just like I believe in Joe Hendry. Good morning, Joe. How you doing? Great show yesterday by Big Al. Biggest fear for the Sixers is giving the max contract to the wrong person, and the process will begin for another 10 years. Yeah, Joe. I mean, basically, that is the fear. I think the biggest fear isn't the Phillies can get the job done. I don't think the biggest fear is Jalen Hurts really a problem with Nick Sirianni or anything like that. I think the biggest fear is with the Sixers. And we got the Paul George rumors, the Brandon Ingram rumors, the Zach LaVine rumors, all the rumors out there. But when the first shoe that drops is Caruso getting traded straight up for Josh Giddey, I got to say, maybe we should have more faith in Daryl Morey. Because I don't know if there's a dumber I didn't think there's anybody worse than Daryl Morey and Elton Brand running an organization. But Chicago giving up Caruso straight up for Giddey makes me feel maybe the Chicago Bulls organization might be poorer run than the Sixers. Bulls are always right on the fringe of the playoffs. Bulls were offered first-round picks for Caruso, packages of picks and players for Caruso, and they went for Josh Giddey straight up. And this is not a knock on Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey's 21, obviously had some personal issues that he had to deal with. I think he was clear to those in OKC. But Alex Caruso is one of the best defensive guards in basketball. He's 30 years old. And all you had to give up for him was one young player that is kind of, you had too many of this. You had too many Josh Giddeys in OKC anyway. I mean, it's insane. So if you think the Sixers organization is bad, just look at the Bulls and what they did. Must value Giddey more than any possible player on the picks they would have received. But see, and the Bulls have come out and said, yes, we really have high hopes for Giddey. They like him a lot. But let's be honest here. 2 picks in you're telling me Josh Giddey is more valuable. They were, rumor had it, they were offered a top 10 pick plus last offseason or last trade deadline, and they turned it down. I don't think he's got as much value, Giddey, as you do. Big Al was in the big chair yesterday. Okay? Say his name and he appears. Okay? Big Al was here. We're not that far from the Bulls where Isaiah Joe waved for nothing bad. Yeah, I mean, look, the Sixers organization is not good. Now, I'm curious with these rumors floating around that the Sixers are out on Paul George. Rumor has it they don't want Zach LaVine. And the rumor that the Pelicans have reached out to the Sixers on Brandon Ingram. It's starting to tend to look like to me that while some of these players were using the Sixers for leverage in their scenarios, now the Sixers are using these guys and their namesake for value. I wonder if Daryl Morey has a real plan. I mean, he's got to have a plan to an extent. Every executive does. But all the rumors that are circulating, it's going to be there's a chance today that we might have breaking Sixers news live right here on the air. Because I have a feeling that something with the draft happening next week and knowing that pick 16 will not be picked by the Sixers, there will be a trade this weekend. It could happen today. It really could. Chicago needs to look in the mirror and rebuild. Can't be content with mediocrity. Giddey 21 reminds me a lot like Lonzo before the injury. Yeah, I get it. But they keep telling people that they don't want to rebuild. But then they keep doing things that say they're rebuilding. So with the Giddey trade for the Caruso, the Bulls are open for business. So LaVine, in theory, is available. DeRozan is available. The whole team is available, I guess, at this point. I don't want LaVine. I think the only way I would have taken LaVine is if Caruso came with him. I don't want DeRozan. I think he'd be a terrible fit here. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really interesting next 72 hours for the Sixers because there is a lot that's going to come out. We'll see how it plays out, though. I don't see why everyone is obsessed with Alex Caruso. Seems like a solid. It's funny you say that, elephant in the room. I've kind of hinted at this for a while, and anytime I hint at this, I get told I'm an idiot. Like, he's a nice player, but he's not a star. Now, in OKC, with all the stars they're putting together there, he'll be great because he can do what he just does, play great defense. He's basically a bigger version of TJ McConnell. Heart and hustle. That's how he survives. How bad is Levine's contract? Oh, it's bad. So the next 2 years, I saw Bernard put it out there, and I didn't write it down. I think it's like 41 this year, 45 million next year, and then a 49 million player option for the year after that. So technically, it's on the books for 2 years plus a player option, which at his career arc and where he is in his career, he might even pick up that 49 million. So you might have him for 3 years, 85. I'm trying to do the math. 90, about 3 years, $140 million. It's bad, Levine's contract. It's almost like to trade Levine, you have to give. Remember in the early parts of the process, teams would give us picks to take their bad contracts on. Like, you almost have to include a pick with Zach LaVine if you want him out of Chicago. It might not be as well as the second. Look, so there's two theories to that, Marshawn. And again, I admit that I don't know the NBA draft that well this year because I'm so dead set or so set in my opinion that the Sixers won't be making a pick. There's no superstars in this draft from what I've read, but there is a lot of solid role value players, guys you build a bench around, like Josh Hart types of the world, Sadiq Beys of the world, Alex Caruso's of the world. Those kind of guys, there's a lot of them. You just got to find the right one. Good morning, Eric. How you doing this morning? Hope you are well. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button. We got CHET, Jim Chesko from Philly Pressbox Radio coming up in about 20 minutes. Talk about 500 episodes and what has changed in 500 episodes in the Philadelphia sports and media scene. I'll take Levine over Paul George. I'm not sure about that. I would take Paul George, and I'm not a Paul George guy. You're talking one more year of Paul George, plus it's just cap space, no draft picks, and you can use your draft picks to get more players. So Levine over Paul George to me is not necessarily. Mikal will be cheaper. Mikal Bridges. Phil, we need a ranking of players available you would like. PG3. Well, I've already said Lauri Markkanen's my favorite available person, if he's available right now in a trade. Levine would be at the very bottom. OG, I love a lot, but I don't know if he's a max guy. He's going to get a max contract, whether from the Knicks or somebody else. I just don't know if I would want to give it to him, but you kind of got to overpay. So I guess I would if I had to. If you could spend, money and sign OG and then spend all your assets to trade for Lauri, an OG Lauri offseason would be pretty damn solid. LeBron James, I think, is a fantastic option. If you want to try to win a title next year, go get LeBron James. Why not? He's a free agent. They already said he's opting out. I still think he stays in LA. Just like I think Paul George stays with the Clippers, I think LeBron stays with the Lakers. But he's there. I would go LeBron James 1. Well, no, Lauri 1, LeBron 2, OG 3, Paul George 4, Zach LaVine 5. That's my opinion. Right when I started convincing myself a Paul George sign would be okay, now there's no interest in him. I don't know if there's no interest. Paul George was using us as leverage to get more money from the Clippers. Now the Sixers are using Paul George and their lack of interest to maybe get Paul George here cheaper. I think it's all just a big game. I think it's one big, gigantic game of leverage and cat and mouse. Everybody, it's weird. Like, there's a lot of big names available in free agency and trades this year, but none of them are. Last year, Dame Lillard got moved. Drew Holiday got moved. There were some big names last year. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. This year's names, they feel wash-ups this year. And there's going to be a lot of guys overpaid and overtrade for this year. There is. There was no superstars in Okafor draft, and yet Devin Booker happened. Yeah. Well, Devin Booker's kind of plateaued and maybe dipped back down in the other direction, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Are we still talking NBA? We're talking a little bit of everything. We're talking fears. And we don't want to talk NBA, Duck, but it is going to be a hotbed topic over the next week. With trades starting to happen, free agency is about to start signing, the draft next week. There is going to be a lot of moving and wheeling and dealing and stuff like that. I do have a list of Eagles topics that I want to cover next week or so. I do. Some creative ones, some different ones. I don't have to create topics out of thin air. I got ideas. I don't have to just go back to the well and talk Jalen Hurts bad-mouthing like everybody else. That Crusoe trade is a 21st century version of Mookie Blaylock from Ramil Robinson. One GM fleecing the other and laughing his ass off like Stan Kanston. I remember Mookie Blaylock. I do not remember Ramil Robinson. So obviously that was a one-sided trade. What's the point of playing cat and mouse when Morey doesn't know when he's winning? Yeah, that is true. That is fair. That's a good point. I fear that we continue talking Sixers and the idiot named Morey. Well, all right, Duck. I always say trending in is the AM is where your opinion matters. So what would you like to talk about? I'm talking about fears. I don't really have any fears for the Phillies. I'm fully committed that the Phillies will make the moves necessary to bring in an outfielder, to improve this ball club, and that come October, we're fighting for the NL pennant. And if the injuries and stuff like that are okay, probably fighting for a World Series crown. So I have no fears with the Phillies. I have a few small fears with the Eagles. I do. And I wrote some of them down. What do you want to talk about? What does Cody Rhodes? So, Philadelphia, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Joe Hendry? Because I believe in Joe Hendry. Just saying, if JJ Redick could get a head coaching job from doing a podcast, why? I don't want to be a head coach, Joe. I don't want to be a head coach. I'm actually a good coach. I'm much better coaching in sports than I am playing sports, but I don't want to be a coach. I don't even know if I want my ultimate dream job, which was always to be on WWWIP. Maybe I just want to do this and have 10,000 people watching instead of 1,000 every day. Maybe I just want to do this 2 or 3 hours a day versus 1.5. That's maybe my dream. I don't want to be no head coach in no NBA. If you had to pick a team, a sport to be the head coach in, would it be basketball, football, baseball, hockey, soccer? What would it be? Me personally, I would love to be a baseball manager just because I get to travel all year long, going to all the ballparks. Baseball managers don't really do anything but write a lineup. I fear for my lineup from Fairway is screwed because Jason had Benny on in 7 of his 21 lineups. So, yeah, he's not too confident in that either, Steve. I have some good ones, but I'm not going to look too much. I have concerns for the Phillies, a few large concerns about the Eagles. So what are they? I don't have any concerns about the Phillies. I really don't. Because I know there is issues. Issues and concerns are different. The issues the Phillies have, I am 1,000% convinced, and I have the confidence that Dave Dombrowski will get the job done. I have a few large concerns with the Eagles. I don't know if one show's enough for them all. I want to know what they are. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. It's funny, Mitchie Poo. Everybody's finding out who Joe Hendry is. I knew who Joe Hendry was a year ago. Because I do watch TNA Impact. I've always been a TNA guy. Literally and figuratively. Idiot Morey topics are my therapy. Okay. So it is therapy. My question is, how will he screw it up this weekend? Because I do believe that there could be breaking news mid-show. Who knows? Phil, let's start a podcast with Jordan Poole so we can coach the Wizards. If I don't want to coach in the NBA, I definitely don't want to coach the Washington Wizards. O-line depth on the Eagles. I am concerned that Bradbury will still be here. He will not be quarterback 2, in my opinion. But I do think that we've talked about that. O-line depth is something I wrote down. Because my 2 biggest concerns Or can Cam Jurgens be the starting center and be 20% as good as Jason Kelce? And then you got Tyler Steen stepping into the right guard. So you got a new right guard and center. Yeah, you got them bookend by 3 All-Pros in Mailata, Dickerson, and Lane Johnson. But I'm concerned. My biggest concern is not coaching, is not Jalen Hurts, but Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen are my concerns. I'm not concerned about Bradbury because I think he'll be here at least through camp, but I don't think he'll start. I think he'll be like a backup safety maybe. I'm actually putting together a power rankings of my biggest things that need to go right for the Eagles to return to the Super Bowl, which is similar to fears. I'm working on this. And Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen are in my top 10. Maybe top 5. I'm afraid for the Eagles that Jalen Hurts is the guy he's shown to be every year except 2022, which is still a very good quarterback, which is still taking your team to the playoffs. Playoffs? Don't start getting into the Jalen Hurts like we don't want to talk Sixers negativity. Let's not. Let's not like be the other people and continue to push the negative narrative of Jalen Hurts because I don't like it. Philly's main problem is the manager. Well, that is an unpopular opinion, Barb. One that I share with you. One that I have gotten bashed nonstop for having. So I just let it go now. I just don't bring up my distaste for the manager because obviously he's a bad manager, but it works somehow. I'm not sure how. I'm so concerned that we won't get the outfitters we need and we'll end up with some that's better, but not pat. So you're concerned. See, I'm not. Dave Dombrowski has proven time and time again over his multi-decade career as a GM that when a team is ready to make a run for a championship, he goes all in. I wouldn't even be shocked if he traded Andrew Painter or Aiden Miller for a star outfielder. Like I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if I would trade both, but I wouldn't be shocked because that is what Dave Dombrowski does. So whoever's the best outfielder available, and Duck, you tell me who you think is the best outfielder. Whoever that is, I bet you he makes a strong push for him. Monty Williams will be coaching the Wiz soon. Yeah. I can't believe Detroit brought him in, cut him so quick, cut ties with Monty Williams so quickly. Guy's going to make a lot of money not coaching the Detroit Pistons. I do feel bad for him to an extent. I am not concerned with Steen. Steen is solid and will get better with more time in the trenches. More concerned about the depth than the actual starters, okay? Which is very, very mediocre. No, Jalen Hurts has not been mediocre. How many other quarterbacks in the NFL, elephant in the room, have led a team 3 years as a starter, 3 years to the playoffs, and 1 Super Bowl? Can you name, outside of Patrick Mahomes, anybody else? Lamar Jackson, maybe? I think they've missed the playoffs once in the last 3 years. Joe Burrow, I don't think. Josh Allen falls flat, never got to a Super Bowl. Who's had, outside of Patrick Mahomes, as much success in the last 3 years as Jalen Hurts? There's not many. Yeah. I was going to put that in my power rankings, Joe, but outside the core 12, no one else would understand that at all. Jurgens having not played center so long to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. And anytime you're going from a Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, like a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, Jason Kelce, there's going to be a drop-off, and that is a concern. What's up, Brian? With the Phillies, enjoy the ride, and they will, I believe, make a good playoff run. I'm concerned about the Birds with 2 new coordinators and new pieces with the D and losing Kelce. The Sixers, I feel, are not going to make the right splash and lost faith in Morey. The Flyers, who knows? So you covered all 4 right there. I'm enjoying this Phillies ride. I am. I have no concerns. I'm less concerned about the coordinators as I am some of the pieces that they've brought in. The Sixers, I'm not concerned with the Sixers because I just have expectations of failure. I'm almost guaranteeing failure for the Sixers. Mediocre right now, might have a problem with 20-plus turnovers, though. Elephant. You're trying to bait me into a Jalen Hurts argument. You are. How many turnovers were in 2022? Okay. How many last year's? Did you know and I don't have the number in front of me, but I read this from a verifiable source, that Jalen Hurts had the highest amount of turnovers or interceptions come off of dropped balls or balls that got, bounced off a receiver's shoulder and picked off last year. Not making an excuse, but some of those turnovers are not his fault. Me and Phil's Wizard rebuilding. No, I'm not helping you rebuild the Washington Wizards. I do not want to. Hurts is going to shock some people in a good way, hopefully, right? I have no fears with Jalen Hurts, none at all. I worry about having a new system with both sides of the ball. I'm not worried. I'm more worried offensively, obviously, from what we heard from the mandatory mini camp. Obviously, 95% of everything is new on offense. Defensively speaking, Vic Fangio's system has been run here now for a while. Just now we've got the creator of it running it. So I'm not concerned. I'm more concerned about the personnel, linebackers, safety. Defensive line depth is lacking, especially in the middle. I'm more worried about the personnel on defense than the coach. I'm more concerned about the coach on offense than the personnel, if that makes sense. I'm more concerned about Nick Sirianni, and I'm supporting Nick Sirianni, but I'm more concerned about Nick Sirianni than I am anybody else on the Eagles right now. The Bulls made a minor trade. Another one, or are you still talking about Caruso for Giddey? A minor. I get what you're getting at there. Whatever happened with that, Marshawn? Was he clear to that? Is that still something lingering? I'm not sure. Yeah, I got it. I got it. But did it end? Did it get moved on from? I don't know. Have you not heard? It was my understanding that everyone has heard. Bird is the word. Bird. Bird is the word. Bird. Surfing. I love it. It's got to be hot in that pizza kitchen. Oh, my God. The kitchen's actually not the hottest part. It's going to be a hot one the next 2 days for sure in there. The kitchen, I've got really good airflow and a really big, giant industrial fan. It's where the pizzas come out of the oven. It comes out in this little corner, and there's no airflow there. And that little area gets hot as hell. We really need Nolan Smith to level up. I'm going to put that down here as my potential. My power rankings here. Nolan Smith. We're putting that down. I like that, Nooms. That's a good one right there. We definitely need that. I honestly don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he settled behind closed doors, Phil. So, okay. So, I honestly, it happened, and it was a front page story, but we never saw anything come of it. All right, guys. Real quick. We got a very special guest joining us here for the next 20 minutes, and it's a great segue into one of our things because his event this Sunday from, where's the graphic? See, I'm a little behind here on the graphic. There it is. From the Rover Station, let's get that off there. The Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, celebrating his 500th episode of Philly Pressbox Radio. You don't need tickets from sherrytickets.com to get in, but if you need tickets to a great event, go to sherrytickets.com, no hidden fees, and use promo code EOP10 for 10% off. Don't overpay with the rest, save with the best. sherrytickets.com. So joining me is one half of Philly Pressbox Radio, Jim Chesko. Good morning, Jim. This is what 8:30 in the morning looks like on YouTube, just so you know.
Hey, Phil, can you hear me all right?
Hear you loud and clear, my man.
All right. Yeah, this is a little early for me, man, but hey, whatever it takes.
So talk about the fact that we're coming up on 500 episodes of Philly Pressbox Radio. That's 10 years of doing this. And just take me back to 10 years ago when you were getting this started, 500 episodes when you were getting it started. Could you have imagined that this is where you'd be right now doing it?
No, I mean, there weren't quite that many podcasts 10 years ago as there are now. Pretty much everybody has one these days. So when I started it with Bill in 2013, we had no idea how long it would run. But here we are. It began in the fall of 2013, actually, when he and I were both writing stuff for some fledgling sports website. And we met in person at a tailgate and then decided to do our own thing the following spring. So April of 2014, we started doing this weekly podcast. And lo and behold, here we are 10 years later and celebrating show number 500. this coming Sunday. But you know what? I'm thinking, Phil, with you doing the show daily, you're going to hit 500 within a couple of years.
I was when we were talking about it, I knew you were going to say that, and I started thinking. I think I may have hit 500 already. I've been doing the morning show for almost 3 years now, and I've only skipped like 5 or 6 episodes in a 3-year span. So plus I was doing weekly shows before that.
500 is nothing.
Exactly. So 500 episodes. I mean, when I did my first episode, my first podcast I ever did, I was writing for a now defunct website about 4.5 years ago. And the first podcast, someone's like, "Yo, I just need somebody to come on and talk NFL draft with me." It was post 2020 draft when Jalen Hurts was drafted. I'm like, it was just a one-off thing. At what point throughout the last 10 years did you realize, like, was it year 2, was it year 3 that you were on to something?
Well, you know what? I think we did pretty well the first 5 or 6 years. We had, a fairly core audience. But in a sense, the pandemic actually helped us because that's when we decided to go the StreamYard, Zoom type route. People could see our smiling faces. Yeah, maybe we have a face for radio, but I think it just adds more to it when you can see one another, So I think that helped us, and that brought a lot more people to the table. So I'm going to say, in 2020, which would have been, I guess, year 6 or 7, that's when things got better. And thank you for noticing the spotless living room. My wife would be very happy about that.
Yeah, that's not one of those green screens that everybody's got the piano in the background. That's the real background of your living room right there. I love it. I love that.
I normally do the show that we do every Wednesday evening from the studio at Compass Media Networks, which is my full-time job. But I'm not going to make that 25-minute drive just for you, Phil. No offense.
I wouldn't want you to. I wouldn't want you to. You say you've been doing this and the pandemic changed things, and there's hundreds. Everybody's got it. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a podcast now. We spend a lot of time on this show talking. You've been in the media business and stuff like that, about how it's changed over the years and stuff like that. But like you said, the podcasting industry has changed a lot in the last few years. Do you think that some of the problems that fans have with maybe the big timers, the WIPs, the fanatics, and stuff like that are because of there's so many other options out there now for them to get their sports, conversation in their sports consumption in other forms? Do you think that maybe the growth of the podcast industry has massively affected how the big channels and big networks do business?
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely a factor. I mean, look at the TV industry. The traditional networks are not doing as well because of all the streaming options that are out there, Netflix and Hulu and Peacock and Apple TV Plus. There's just so many options in everything now. The funny thing is, in 2005, I was working for Wall Street Journal Radio, and I had left Bloomberg to go back to them. And the boss there said, in addition to doing some on-air stuff, she wanted me to do like 3 daily podcasts. And I'm thinking, what the hell's a podcast? This is 2005. I'm thinking people are going to go to this site and listen to a podcast. I had no idea. And, then that caught on. I was doing 3 or 4 business related podcasts a day. And now here we are, everybody's doing the sports podcast. So yeah, the world has certainly changed, but there are a whole lot of options out there. So you got to put a good product out there if you're going to get people to watch and listen to you.
And I don't want to stay too long on this topic because I want to cover a lot in a 10-minute span here with you. But, there is a lot of, I hate the word hate, but there's a lot of hate going towards the big channels right now. And I feel like that they're panicking to react to the podcast movement and the YouTube movement. You've noticed it, I'm sure, how they've changed the way they do business. Do you feel like almost they've got to evolve into a different way and stop? But the path they're going doesn't seem to be the right path to keep the fans happy. Do maybe they've got to evolve a little bit, maybe watch what other podcasts are doing so that then they could see how they could change, because they're going to have the money behind them, but they should be able to change.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep evolving. I remember the Woody Allen movie. He said something like, a relationship is like a dead shark. It's got to keep moving forward or it dies. I think what we got on our hands is a dead shark. So yes, you got to keep evolving, keep improving, keep adapting to the times, and hopefully make your show better.
Yeah, absolutely. 500 episodes, and I didn't even know till I went live and I was looking for a graphic. I saw this on the side. I think Big Al put this in here. Some of the guests over 500 episodes that you've had on your show, and we're talking big name radio and athlete guests over the years. Merrill Reese, Ray Dinger, second most appearances on your show over 500 years. I mean, you name it. There are some names over here I would dream and drool about having the opportunity to just chit chat. Not even on a podcast, just in general.
Yeah, I threw that in there last night,
okay.
and the other one that we can show in a bit. But yeah, some of those names, and Merrill Reese, I just met him at an event maybe 12 years ago, and then we started doing this show. So I saw him at another event 9 years ago, asked him to come on, and he's been doing it every single year right before the start of the season. We've had Merrill Reese on. We got Tom McCarthy every summer, Larry Anderson 4 times, hoping to have LA back on again in July. So, yeah, I've been fortunate because it's one of the advantages of being old. You're around for a long time. You get to meet a lot of people. So, yeah, we're doing pretty well with that. And if you want to put up the other one, we've had a lot of former athletes on as well. Some of those guys, Kevin Riley, who was Eagles special teams captain and has written a terrific book. He's been on, as you see, 18 times. Bob Hound Kelly of the Flyers and Brian Propp of the Flyers. 2 of the nicest guys out there. Hockey players in general are just so damn nice and so, cooperative. Chris Therien we've had on 3 times. Some of the guys we've only had on once, though, include Bernie Perrant and Brett Myers, Bill Barber, another ex-Flyer. I would love to get some of those guys on again. Bernie is the best. Everybody loves Bernie Perrant. Willie Montanez, one of my childhood heroes from the 1970s. I was fortunate to get Willie on a few years ago. That was pretty cool. Glenbow Wilson and Joe Watson making his 3rd appearance this particular Sunday to help us celebrate show number 500. So, yeah, we've had a lot of great guests over the years.
And there are your guests, Joe Watson, Jim Jackson, Lou Nolan, this Sunday at 1:30 at the Irish Rover Station House. Was there ever a moment when you had a guest? Because, like I said, I've been doing this now for about 4+ years, the morning show for almost 3. And there have been 1 or 2 times I've had guests on the show, and I just kind of stopped for a second, just to kind of like revel in the moment. Like when I had Ron Jaworski on once in the very beginning. I think it was like the 4th podcast I ever did, and I just stopped for a second and just pause because I'm like, hold on a second. Even though it's on a screen, I'm across the screen from Ron Jaworski talking about quarterback play in the NFL right now. Yeah. Has there ever been that moment for you where you're just like, wow, this is pretty awesome?
Yeah, I've had a couple of those moments. In our 2nd year, I believe, we had Seth Joyner on just that one time. Man, I would love to get him back. He's told me a couple of times he would do it, but I haven't been able to pin him down. But yeah, getting Merrill Reese the first time, that was a real thrill for me. And I'm thinking, God, I'm talking to the Merrill Reese who's been calling Eagles games since 1977 or whatever. As I mentioned, Bernie Perrant, his wife, Jeannie, is a great lady, very nice. So I basically badgered her for about 6 months and then finally got Bernie to come on with us about 5 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, Bernie Perrant, one of my childhood heroes again, and Bill Barber, getting him that one time. I'm thinking, I watched these guys hoist the Stanley Cup in 1974 and again in 75. And here I am talking to them, 45 years later, now 50 years. So, I'm old, and B, yeah,
white whale. You have like a white whale, the person that you're chasing that you've never had on, that it would be like because like I've got like 300 names that it would just be a dream come true. But everybody's got that one white whale that they just can't seem to lock down.
No, like you, it's a lengthy list. I mean, I have not had Ron Jaworski on. We threw it out to him once, but it hasn't happened yet. So would love to get Jaws on. Brian Baldinger, who I've met a couple of times, would love to get Baldy on with us. He's another one. There are some other great Flyers like Bobby Clark, but Bobby Clark's a very private person, so that ain't going to happen. But man, it would be fun if it did.
Now, you mentioned Larry Anderson. And Larry Anderson he's not like a white whale, because I think if I found the right connections, I could get him to come on at some point. But you mentioned him, and he's just one of those guys. I've met him a few times and had drinks with him a few times. But I remember he'd only met me like once or twice. And then I was in Clearwater, Florida, walking the beach. And here comes this guy running by me on the beach. And I was wearing a Carson Wentz jersey. That's how old it was this happened. And he just shouted out, "Go Birds." And I'm like, what? Oh, it's Larry Anderson shouting "Go Birds" at me. And I didn't stop him. He stopped me. And we had a 15-minute conversation on the beach just talking baseball. And so ever since then, I was like, he's just a special kind of person that just really does truly love the Philadelphia area, the Philadelphia fans, and stuff like that.
And his play-by-play partner, Scott Fransky, is fantastic. I mean, not just in the job that he does, but as far as a person as well. We've had him on, I think, the last 6 summers, Scott Fransky, and just super nice, super knowledgeable. And he's done little, promotional things for us, did a little 10th anniversary video for us, did something to help Freddie Burns with the childhood cancer a couple of years ago. He put out a little, PSA kind of thing for us. So just a great guy, Scott Fransky.
All right, so real quick. So, guys, we're talking with Jim CHET Chesko, one half of Philly Pressbox Radio. Got about 5-10 more minutes of his time. Today's show, we're promoting your show, but your normal show is Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
Yes.
So I got that time right. I didn't write down yet. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. So let me ask you one real quick Philadelphia sports topic. You got the Phillies, Sixers, Eagles are the main topics right now. The Flyers, not so much. Today's show is titled about fears. What are you most fearful of with one of your teams? Are you most fearful something might go wrong with this? The high expectations for the Eagles? Are you more fearful of something going wrong with this Phillies team, which all signs point towards a World Series run? Or are you most fearful of the Sixers team and this offseason, and whichever team you pick, which fear is really at the top of your list right now?
As a lifelong Philadelphia sports fan, I have a whole lot of fears about what's happening on the Philly sports.
Absolutely.
It's the whole mega.
You can pick one fear for each team if you want.
Yeah. All right. With the Sixers, who I love, and I'm a Joel Embiid guy. My partner Bill is not so much an Embiid fan. My fear is that it's just not going to work out, and we're going to end up going back into a process situation. Okay, that's the big fear there. My fear with the Eagles would be that Jalen Hurts is not the guy that we saw 2 years ago, and that the big money has spoiled him, because now there's, this potential rift between he and some of the coaching staff. My fear there is that is reality, and Hurts is never going to be the guy. There you go.
Yeah, it was about 20 minutes ago. Someone put the same exact comment in there.
There you go. That's
is this your burner account? I mean, you might be older, but you might have burned. Maybe elephant in the room is really you every single morning in the chat.
My fear with the Phillies, just injuries. I think the Phillies have a great team, but you just got to stay healthy this year. But I think they're World Series bound. I have no fears with the Flyers because there's just nothing to fear. They're a team, up and coming. So I have faith in Danny Briere and Keith Jones. So no fears with the Flyers. But yeah, the other 3 teams.
You've got a lot of Flyers guests. You've talked to a lot of Flyers over the years. Your gut feeling on this Matvei Michkov, I think I'm saying it right there, Michkov. Do you think he'll be over this year? Because it does seem like it's trending in that direction.
It does, but you would think we would have something official by now. I don't know. Maybe I can get some answers on Sunday from Jim Jackson, because JJ's going to be there. Maybe he knows something. I would love to see that. That makes the Flyers instantly better team.
People think I'm an Eagles or a Phillies guy first, because that's what I talk about, or Sixers most here.
Right.
I'm a Flyers guy. I mean, I've been to more Flyers games than Eagles and Sixers games combined in my life. And I tell everybody I'm getting the same butterflies for the Flyers right now with this Michkov kid as I did the day it was announced that Eric Lindros was traded to the Flyers, in that deal. What was that, like 91, 92, whatever it is? I have those same kind of goosebumps and butterflies in my stomach, because the hype around that Lindros deal was going to take the Flyers to the next level. I'm kind of feeling like the same kind of feeling right now.
Boy, I hope so. I mean, it's weird because we knew more about Lindros back then than we do about Michkov. We just know he's a great Russian player, but nobody has really watched him that much unless you're a diehard fan. But you hear so many good reports about him. It would be awesome if he does turn out to be the real deal and he comes over this fall. That, like I said, makes them a playoff contender right away. Absolutely
agree with you. All right, real quick, before we wrap this up, just remind everybody, I'll put the graphic up on the screen here again for you. But just tell everybody again about what's going on this weekend and where they can find you and all the good jazz there.
Yeah, Sunday, 1:30 p.m. at the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA. It's on Bellevue Avenue, right off of Business Route 1. Easy to find, plenty of parking. Joe Watson, Jim Jackson, and Lou Nolan. three guys who are just legends in the Flyers world. We'll be there from 1:30 to 3. We're doing our live show from 2 to 3:30. So the first half hour, they'll be there signing books. Both Joe Watson and Lou Nolan have books to sell. By the way, if you can, bring cash, because we're not sure if we're going to be able to do the credit card thing for Joe Watson's book. That's a whole nother issue. But yeah, bring cash for the book. It is a great book, by the way. They'll be there to do a little, meet and greet, say hello. Lou Nolan will have a bunch of copies of his book from 7 years ago, If These Walls Could Talk. It's a good one. And Joe Watson's new book, Thundermouth, I just started reading. I'm going to spend a lot of time tomorrow reading as many chapters of this as I can. But Joe is a great storyteller. Highly recommend that. So, yeah, easy to get to. There you go. 1:30 to 3:30 on Sunday. Say hello to us. Bitcoin. That's funny.
Whether it's K1 or Marshawn, there's always some kind of sarcastic comment every guest and all on this show. And as
it's
always,
going to be a good time, man. We have giveaways. We will be giving away one of these books. We'll give away a Philly Pressbox Radio T-shirt. I don't know if it's going to be like this one or a couple other styles that we've had over the years. Special giveaways from the Irish Rover, which I don't even know what they are yet, but they have great food and great beer. 24 beers on tap. I like beer. I don't know if you know.
I know you like beer. I do know. I always see you posting about beer. Have you tried the garage beer that the Kelsey brothers got involved with?
I saw you talking about that the other day, and I'm intrigued. I have not tried it yet. I hear it's pretty good. It's a nice, smooth drinking beer.
I don't typically drink the cheap light beer anymore. You know, I've evolved. I like to say I evolved my taste buds into liking really good beers and craft beers and stuff.
Yep.
But for a cheap drinkable beer, it's actually really damn good. For a Sunday out by the pool, and you're gonna have 5 or 6. It works. So.
And just yesterday, I picked up a 15-pack of the Philly Standard Schwarber one. Haven't tried it yet, so I'm not sure if it's good. But
I don't. You know what? When I was buying that, I saw that on the shelf. But I had to buy the garage beer for Father's Day for my father-in-law and stuff like that. So we went with the garage beer instead. I would obviously be killed by my regular listeners on this show. They require me to ask one question. You can answer it, and you can sign right off here of every guest. It's a really simple question. Are you a Goodfellas or a Godfather guy?
I'm more of a Goodfellas guy, believe it or not. Okay. I've watched Goodfellas more times. I haven't watched The Godfather in a lot of years, since way back in the 70s, really, in full. I tried to watch it again a couple of years ago, and it's a great movie series, obviously. In fact, I have Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 on my DVR for the last 2 or 3 years, just for when I can block out 7 hours and sit my ass on the couch and watch it again, because it's been way too long. But I loved Goodfellas. Loved Goodfellas.
Great. Jim, thank you very much for your time this morning. Great. Best of luck with Sunday's live show. That'll be great. And best of luck. Hopefully we see 500 more episodes of Philly Pressbox Radio.
Hey, this was fun. I'll come back, Phil. Anytime.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on. You've got access. You should just surprise me at random one day and just pop up into the bottom and just see how good I can handle that little, curveball thrown mid-show.
Yeah, I know the secret code, so I'm just going to pop in someday.
Pop in anytime you like. Jim, thank you very much. And everybody, make sure you go to the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne this Sunday, 1:30. Jim, thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Phil. Take care, man.
Thanks. That was Jim there. Hang on. What we got here? I fear tenants who don't pay rent on time. Oh, my God. Back to that. We're going to get back to the comments in a second here. But, guys, that was Jim. Make sure, like I said, I'm going to put up his graphic one more time here. 500 episode this Sunday, Irish Rover Station House. Make sure you check them out. Also, let's shout out some of our other sponsors while we got a free second here. PhillySportsTrips.com. If you want to travel with your favorite team, travel with the best, travel with the pros, travel with PhillySportsTrips.com. Sign up immediately and let them know Trending in the AM, Edge of Philly is where you heard of them. They got great trips to Brazil to see our Eagles week 1. Obviously, they have some other great things much closer to home. They have a tailgate experience in August for the Phillies. They got a trip to Pittsburgh coming up pretty soon. They're taking deposits already for spring training next year. They got a trip to Miami to see the Union play. We got, obviously, our Birds takeover trips to Tampa, Baltimore, and Dallas. PhillySportsTrips.com. They are the place to go for all your premium sports travel packages. Guys, we're back at it. And make sure you check out Jim, CHET, and the crew. They do great work on Philly Pressbox Radio. And damn, 10 years. Like I said, this has been 2.5+ years of trending in the AM, 4 years of podcasting. Can I make it 6 more years? Will you guys listen to me talk for 6 more years? I don't know. I don't even know what's going on in the comments at this point. So I'm just going to forget about them. What a show. Yeah, it's been an interesting show. Jim is Core 12 material. Is he? Jim is definitely Core 12 material. Yes, for sure. I mean, the guy's older. So he obviously has been around the block a little bit. Yeah, good fellas. I got to start keeping K1. You need to do some research. You have no life. I'll do some research of every guest I've ever had. And we need to start keeping a running tally of who takes Goodfellas or Godfather. We got to find out. You know what's winning. I have a feeling Goodfellas is winning the vote right now, for sure. Must have some pull to get Christopher Waltz on this show. Yeah, is that one? I have no pull, just so you know, none whatsoever. What would be the dream guest to get on this show? I mean, we look at the graphic of some of the guests he's had. I mean, he's had Ray Dinger on 23 times, Tom McCarthy 9 times, Merrill Reese 9 times. I love the Neil Hartman one 7 times. I'm a huge Neil Hartman guy. That's just the media guys and the players that he's had on. Vince Papale. I've hung out with Tommy Green. Tommy Green's awesome, awesome dude. Some great names that he's had on. What would be the dream interview for Trend in the AM? Obviously, getting Ron Jaworski on for a second time would be pretty awesome. That's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to get a hold of Jaws. He's a busy man. Dream guest. Yeah, David Archerry. Obviously, that was good. Just congratulations for Joe being the person that said it first. Because obviously, yeah. 6 years, Phil. You'll still be here in 6 years. Thank you. I appreciate that, Eric. That's why you're one of the OGs. You're one of the captains of the Core 12. Joe Hendry, yeah. We believe in Joe Henry. I believe in Joe. I don't quite have the smile like he does. At all. Jalen Hurts, that would be a great guest. I'm sure Elvin in the room would be watching and putting in comments how he's average. Tobias Harris would never be allowed on this show. Here I am. I'm just refreshing Twitter as we're talking because I still feel like there could be breaking news at any moment of something happening with our 76ers. I really, truly believe when we get back at this next week that there's going to be a lot of Sixers talk because something big will go down. And the title of the show are what are the biggest fears? And again, like I said, I have no fears with the Phillies. I have full confidence that this team will be playing in the NL championship game and most likely the World Series. I have no fear. Wasn't that a great product line? No fear. Wasn't that like shirts back in the day? Wasn't that a shirt brand back in the day or a jacket brand? I vaguely remember like early 90s, no fear on a shirt that I wore. Anyway, I have no fear that Dave Dombrowski will get the outfielder we need and pitching. My biggest fear is the Sixers, not the Eagles, not the Phillies. My biggest fear is Daryl Morey getting another chance, another blank canvas, and you hear all the rumors floating around, and everyone after the next, you just see so many. It's like when you find the plot hole in a movie. Every rumor that's circulating with the Sixers, I could find the plot hole in it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't want no Tobias Harris on this. You guys would kill me for Tobias Harris on the show because I would be so uber kind to him on the show. Ben Simmons and David Archerry would go viral. Me and Ben Simmons could chit-chat a little bit about a few things, for sure. I don't know how it would go, but we could have a conversation. We could. The only thing that I'm trying to find hope because we try to keep things positive, and I know the word fears is a negative connotation. It brings a negative connotation to the show that I don't like to have. I fear microwave. Oh my God. What are we doing here? I wouldn't mind seeing Justin Herbert, on this show? So I could tell him how he's just a fantasy football quarterback and that's it? Oh, man. Is there any thought in your mind that some of these rumors that happened yesterday, that they're out on Levine, their waning interest, I think was the word used on Paul George, is because Daryl Morey, I think the mic things are getting loose again. is there any concern or not fear, but thought process that maybe that Daryl Morey already has one of the things we thought was unreachable, a Lauri Markkanen, a Mikal Bridges, something like that already in the works that's going to happen? And I say Mikal Bridges, and I started that conversation because Eric mentioned Ben Simmons' name, and maybe Ben Simmons comes back in that deal. Oh, that would be brutal. I have a feeling that we are getting Zach LaVine. Now, if we trade a lot to get Zach LaVine, I am going to massively crush it nonstop. But I saw Sean Bernard tweet something, I believe, last night about, how much the Sixers nation is crushing what Zach LaVine is. Zach LaVine might not be what he once was or what his once potential said he was going to be. Zach LaVine is a good player. The problem is Zach LaVine plays no defense. He's got injury issues, and he's got an albatross of a contract. Now, if you can get him as part of a trade, you get Chicago to give him to you for next to nothing, Zach LaVine on the Sixers, we're better than we were without him. But he can't be the only. All the moves I see right now can't be the only move. If you would have got me Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso, all right, now you got offense, now you got defense. But Zach LaVine can't be the. Get me Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby, Mitch. Then I could swallow the Zach LaVine. It's also why I might overreact to whatever happens, but I'm not really going to overreact till the offseason's complete. If Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby are the answer, sure. But if just Zach LaVine and then role players, it's going to be bad. I hope not too, but it's going to be bad. How is Goodfellas better than Godfather when Henry isn't even a full-blown Sicilian? Well, it's a more rewatchable movie than The Godfather because as Chet said, you got to block out like 7 hours to watch The Godfather. Goodfellas, it's 2.5 hours. Bing, bang, boom. You're done. Daryl Morey plays high-stakes poker. Yeah, absolutely. Bulls are better without Zach LaVine. That tells you everything you need to know about Zach LaVine right there, Mitchie Poo. It does. How's Goodfellas better than Godfather when you can't even pick any of the rules of power or Sunza? Yeah. I just feel like we're cruising along where we're trending towards some bad ideas. But maybe Daryl Morey is better than we give him credit for. I mean, the league gives him credit as this elite executive. The national attention says Daryl Morey is going to make some moves. Maybe us fans are blinded. I doubt it. I think we're right on Daryl Morey, but maybe we are blinded. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But all these rumors keep circulating, and we keep saying certain ones are unrealistic to reach for or ask for, a Mikal Bridges or a Lauri Markkanen. Maybe that's really what's going on. Sixers out on Paul George, LaVine, Monk in. Monk signed with Sacramento. Pretty strong deal, 4 years, 70. Malik Monk, to an extent, is a little like Brandon Graham. Got drafted in the top, was he like 4th or 6th in that draft? Was a bust at first in his career, but has turned into a pretty damn good player. And he just got a 4-year, $78 million extension. It was the max he could sign. Just think about this. Remember when we signed Andre Iguodala and Elton Brand to like 4-year, $70 million deals, and they were max deals back then? Elite deals. Now that's a Malik Monk deal. KCP and Ingram would be a strong starting point. But again, even that, KCP and Brandon Ingram are not enough. Not at all, in my opinion. Morey has not shown anything that said he's as smart as this. It's all hype. But maybe we're just being the negative one. I don't know. I'm trying to find some glimmer of hope in a moment when there is none. If you need a GM to get you to meh, then Morey is your man. He's not the man for a team on the edge of winning it all. Yeah. I believe. I agree. I don't just believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in what you said here, Duck. I do. Mitchie Poo, what's that? Is that like 10 Joe Hendry references? I was trying to get to 20 Joe Hendry references today. I don't know. The problem is there's so many moves that need to happen. Like when he makes the big bold move, hopefully he doesn't use up too much so that there's still a commitment to or assets to commit to role players. Brett, I did. I did not comment on it yet today. I only watched what Reggie Jackson said in his interview once, and it was extremely, extremely deep. I feel like before I comment too much on it, I got to listen to it 2 or 3 more times to make sure I get everything right in it. But if you guys haven't seen the Reggie Jackson interview, he was on the was it baseball? It was a baseball pregame show. Alex Rodriguez asked him a question, and Reggie Jackson went deep into prejudice and racism. And in the most professional way, like it was a deep. And you know what, Brett? I want to do first and foremost. I want to compliment the producers for not trying to edit it out or change it or tell them to wrap up or whatnot. I don't think Alex Rodriguez was expecting that deep, long of an answer from Reggie Jackson yesterday. And I recommend everyone goes and listens to it. And like me, make sure that they listen to it 2 or 3 times to hear his story. Yeah, Brett, I think it's something that needs to be discussed more, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to just touch on it a little bit. I want to listen to it a little bit more, a few more times. That's just my opinion. Also forgot my guy Caruso. Well, he's traded to OKC. Not the biggest Reggie fan overall, but much respect. Yeah, I mean, I'm as a player. I mean, before my time, as a fan, I mean, I don't really ever think of Reggie Jackson. So I'm not a fan or not a fan of Reggie Jackson, but what I am is a fan of him now, and much respect to him for the way he shared such a personal, detailed story live on the air. Morey needs to learn from how the Eagles and really good teams build a roster, trenches and bench. Yeah, Doug, I agree with you. I don't think you need another star. And honestly, some of these names we're talking about, Levine, Ingram, they're not stars. They're 2s. They're 3s. Problem is, you're going to give them money or you're going to trade assets as if they were stars. I'm going to throw it out there again. Kick the show off by mentioning it. Maybe for the Joel Embiid trade crowd, not me, but the crowd that wants to trade Joel Embiid, maybe the JJ Redick in LA thing is the ticket that he's going to ask for. Yo, I want to go play for my buddy JJ Redick. Get me to LA. Now, LA doesn't have assets to trade from. It's not going to happen. But maybe after this year, if it doesn't go well, he'll ask out finally to go play for JJ Redick. Roy Woods talked to Negro League players who said they sent in the light-skinned players to get food. But one time he took off his hat and they chased him out. They told it funny but sad. I mean, stories like that just, of the way it used to be. I mean, it's still not good now, Brett. But the way it was back then, 60s, 70s, I mean, thank God I didn't live back then. Because I would have gotten into a lot of trouble legally for fighting racists. I would have. I just won't stand for it. If Morey learned from the Eagles, he would max out. Oh, my goodness gracious. No. Reggie Jackson has said those things many times over the years. Nothing new. I've never heard him say it, Barbara. I have not. That was new to me and new to a lot of people. And maybe because of the age of social media, things get spread a little bit quicker and easier. It's easier to find and reach people with it. To me, it was a new story. Because Reggie Jackson's just not a guy I see on TV a lot. And I don't see him promoting things or talking or doing stuff. So it was new to me. I love to get one of Smart, Brockton, or Bruce. I saw someone start dropping Marcus Smart rumors last night or whatever. Marcus Smart's one of those guys you hate unless he's on your team. Now, wasn't he hurt most of last year? So I have to look into his injury issue. Brogdon is injured a lot. But for a cheap price, I would bring in Brogdon. Bruce Brown, obviously, as well, would be a great role player on this team. So, there are options for role players, for core group of players to surround around Embiid and Maxey. Bulls gave away Caruso cheaply. Morey didn't even make a call. I'm sure Morey made a call. I'm sure Morey made a call at the deadline, trade deadline. But the Bulls are a more joke of an organization, Barbara, than the Sixers at this point. Because there is reports that they turned down a top 10 draft pick for Caruso, plus other stuff at the deadline. There is talk that the Bulls had better offers. But for some reason, you're telling me a team couldn't have outbid, not just the Sixers, anybody, couldn't outbid Josh Giddey straight up. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, there's got to be a first-round pick in there, even if it's a protected future one. There's no way that was straight up. And Giddey might turn into a good player. But he might be a minor player. There you go, Marshawn. I made a joke for you. First time to a national audience is what Brett's saying. And maybe to a social media audience as well. It wasn't even Capos. They were underachieving made men. Plus Henry snitched. And Michael Corleone would have took him. Yeah. The fact that Henry Hill snitched and lived to tell about it his entire life, still to this day, the real Henry Hill, the story that he got away with snitching so well, I don't know. It shocks me. Smart only had a finger injury. I think he had a down year. It was because Jay was out for. Okay, gotcha. I mean, once John Morant was out for the year, I pretty much didn't watch Grizzlies basketball, for sure. The Sixers are not a joke of an organization. They just can't jump the hump, and the window is closing. This is interesting. I think this is interesting. They're not a joke of an organization. They're just run by a joke of a GM, maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you classify as a joke of an organization. Making good moves or not good moves, smart moves or reach. I don't know. Maybe the Sixers aren't a joke of an organization, but I can't say that I can't agree that Daryl Morey isn't a joke of a executive. I don't want anything to do with DeMar DeRozan. I actually think DeMar DeRozan's a good player. I think DeMar DeRozan is a man out of time. He's a guy that would have thrived in the 80s or early 90s when the mid-game was still prevalent in the NBA. But DeRozan clogging up the middle for his 14-foot jump shots with Joel Embiid, who we want to be down low more often, you get DeRozan, you're going to see more three-point shooting from Joel Embiid. So I'm not on the DeMar DeRozan train for the Sixers. That's not because I don't like DeRozan as a player. I just don't think he's a good fit with Maxey and Embiid. He found his own cherry. I think that's a good time because we're down to the final 20 minutes, and I haven't given David Archeri his time to shine. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, give our friend David Archeri, the Cherry Law Firm, a call. He's 610-565-0300. You can visit his website, cherryinjurylaw.com. Let him fight for your rights and what you deserve. Again, David Archeri, the Cherry Law Firm, 610-565-0300, cherryinjurylaw.com. Guys, don't miss him right there. And, of course, PJ, over at Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park, 65-plus years. The quintessential Irish American dive bar in the area. Make sure you go check them out. 24 East Sellers Avenue, dolansbar.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Social media is everywhere. Great food, great times for 65-plus years. Make sure when you go see them, you tell PJ or anybody working there, you heard about them right here, trending the AM on Edge of Philly. Again, that's Dolan's Bar. Back to the comments where I'll see a few cherry bombs like that. They're a joke that is run by a guy who can do handshakes. What? Yep. He goes on Angels broadcast I've seen on MLB Network saying he worked for the. Gotcha. That's news to me. That's news to me. But the national stage, or at least to Philly fans, or because of social media, it's pushing his story to the front a little bit more right now. And to me, hearing him say it for the first time, I need to listen to it 2 or 3 more times. I'd take Smart just to have a perimeter defender and take some stress off of Joe. Yeah, not afraid to take the shot, not the best shooter, but, he's the kind of guy you hate when he's not on your team, but love when he's on your team. Morey has outlived his time as a Don and needs to be removed. Yeah. The heads of the 5 families need to get together. Who are the 5 families? Howie Roseman, Dave Dombrowski, Danny Briere. I don't know who the GM of the Union are. And I don't know who the GM of the Wooder Dogs are. The other 5 families need to get together and take Morey out. Put Sam Hinkie back in charge. Something like that. I don't know. Plus, they needed a guy to get dirty in the Knicks series. You always need that dog. Remember James Anderson? Ryan Anderson? I forget who it was. Who was the guy that we had who went after Dwayne Wade in the playoffs years ago? Maybe it wasn't Dwayne Wade. It was at the end. It was at the beginning of the turnaround for the Sixers, like 19 or 18. We had a guy go after, I think it was Dwayne Wade in the playoffs because they were playing too physical. I wanted to say James Anderson, but James Anderson was a process guy. I forget who it is. Anyway, we don't have that guy. We don't have that guy that's going to throw at a batter because the other team's pitcher hit your guy. We don't have that on the Sixers. Can't do handshakes. Stupid autocorrect. Yeah. Autocorrect gets you a lot, Brad. It's okay. Morey is the Mike D'Antoni of GM. It's actually a very good comparison analogy, Eric. Yeah. A lot of hype. No success. If Hinkie comes back into power, it would really be some Godfather. It really would be. It would be. It would be. That would be. That the NBA would never allow it. Already ordered a hit when they took out Sam. Yeah. Sam Hinkie has every right to be. I mean, I think I've heard rumors that they've tried to bring Hinkie back to ring the bell and this and that. Hinkie has every right to be pissed at the Sixers and the NBA. Now, I wonder if he's had opportunities to come back to the league. He hasn't. I wonder if he's had opportunities or phone calls and he's just like, no, screw the NBA. I'm sure he's doing some work somewhere, making money for some organization or some business somewhere, crunching the numbers, outthinking everybody. I'm sure he is. But that's that. Let me go on Twitter here real quick. Let me just do a quick refresh on my Twitter feed. Just make sure there's no more breaking news out there. And as soon as I see that, I see my man run it back. DJ Eastwood say, Kyle Kuzma. I don't want Kyle Kuzma and his big contract either. The only reason why the Wizards gave him that contract is so that they could trade him and get assets for the rebuild. I want nothing to do with Kyle Kuzma for multiple draft picks. Of course, the first thing I say isn't a rumor, just a suggestion from DJ Eastwood, my man. Stinky wants to start a new process. I don't think he wants to be in the NBA. Hinkie, the bank teller. Hinkie's a smart man. I still to this day feel for Sam Hinkie. I do. I feel bad for him. He should never have been run out of town. Hinkie was a great man, and there's not even a statue or a plaque in his honor. I don't even think if he carved his name to the bottom of his desk, they probably threw the desk out. They've wiped any memory of him out. It is. It's like, I don't want to say his name, but a certain wrestler who was eliminated from the record books. Not that I'm laughing at the situation. I'm trying to find a power. They've wiped Sam Hinkie from the record books, and it's a shame. I've often thought about certain moves made and what Hinkie would have done instead. Eastwood. Like, I love him. He's a bit controversial. He could be a pain in the ass sometimes, but he's a good guy, I think, in heart. Some of his takes suck. Some of them are great, but, Justin Anderson, that's who I was thinking about. Yeah, James Anderson was a guard during the processor that was starting backcourt with Tony Roten. Justin Anderson was the guy that stood up for his teammates, had that dog. He was barely an average NBA player, but he's a guy that's 10th on your bench. And when you need some dirty kind of play, you put Justin Anderson in. He's going to stand up for his teammates. Stinky got paid. Why I feel sorry for him? Because he never got to see his process through. And you know what? The Sixers, I don't think originally had any intentions of moving on from him. The NBA and David Silver, or whatever his name is, stepped in and forced him out. Forced the Sixers. The league forced the Sixers organization to make a change. Might be a smart man, which bank tellers are smart, but he was an absolute doo-doo talent evaluator and GM. I don't know about that. He had a plan. We can't say that if we didn't let him see it to the end. Till he trade all the assets he was gathering, till he used those assets to bring in the talent to win a title, we can't really grade whether he was bad at it or not. It was incomplete. So what we should do is bring Hinkie back and use Morey as a puppet, like how the Barzini. That's fine. Make him a puppet. That's fine. He runs a hedge fund for 87 capital. I'm not going to fact check you, but I get it. 76ers go up 3-1 in the NBA Finals. I'll definitely get Hinkie flew into the ring the bell. No. Adam Silver. I don't know. My mind's a pickle today. Got lots on the agenda today, work-wise. So my mind's a pickle or a pretzel. It's all knotted up right now. Adam Silver. I know who they are. Justin Anderson was the process Bonzi Wells. Ooh, Bonzi Wells, there's a name. He did draft 3 centers. That is true. He was taking the best players available, probably in thoughts to flip them for more assets till the right player came along. I don't know. But yes, drafting Okafor and Embiid and Noel was not ideal at all. Trading Drew Holiday obviously turned out to not be ideal. There were definitely some mistakes in the Hinkie regime. Hinkie's not walking away from hedge fund money to have to deal with. Absolutely agree. Absolutely. I bet you he's making 10 times more money now with a lot less stress, a lot less scrutiny from the public eye, a lot less scrutiny from the terrible radio stations that talk sports in this city. T.J. McConnell, Robert Covington, Jeremy Grant, and Embiid are still in the league 8 years after he was out. Seems like a pretty good evaluator. He did nail some of them. T.J. McConnell, I don't even think was drafted. I think it was an undrafted signing here. So every GM of every sports team has some hits and some misses. But it's still, to kind of in the last 10, 15 minutes of the show today, to kind of bring it all full circle, the show was about fears. We might have to do this fears thing again this summer because we really didn't talk about fears all show long. But I don't fear anything with the Phillies or Eagles. I fear the Sixers because I don't want to go back to the beginning of the process all over again. And I feel like if the right moves aren't made in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days, next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, that the wrong ones are going to be made, and we're back to square one. The wrong moves are made. Joel is going to ask out of here. The wrong moves are made. Hell, maybe Tyrese Maxey ain't even here for the long term. I don't know. And that's not what I want. And my Sixers fears are rooted not because of Sam Hinkie, but that I just have zero faith in Daryl Morey accomplishing anything. That is my number one fear right now in all of Philadelphia sports. It's Daryl Morey making the decisions. The fact that Hinkie flipped MCW in a number 1 pick after 1 year makes Josh Harris hired Hinkie to make the Sixers horrible so he could build the franchise from ground up. Josh wants a new arena. So, Josh Harris only cares about money. That's it. That's all he cares about. At the perfect time, but got crap from Scott O'Neil because of the season ticket. Yeah. And again, if you haven't, make sure you go find the article, the self-written article by Michael Carter Williams about talking about his trials and tribulations of his life and his career. And it's a pretty deep read as well. Kelsey would probably ring the bell if they made it to a finals over some Sixers championship players. Yeah, probably. That would be the pandering to the crowd, right, Barb? I fear there will be no one of quality to sign and we just used for leverage. Because that goes back to the conversation from earlier this week. Does anybody want to come sign here? Does anybody want to play with Joel Embiid? Joel Embiid tried to recruit Paul George during the NBA Finals pregame show. I don't think that worked. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, Brett. We'll see you next week. Hinkie also fleeced the Kings. What GM have we had since win trades? Yeah, I mean, like the Hinkie Kings trade, was that when we got Stauskas and somebody else, and we gave up like a 2nd round pick, got 2 players, and like 65 first round draft picks from the Kings, just so they can get off some bad contracts. It was insane. Yeah. Is Vlade Divac still in the league? I know he's not with the Kings anymore. Well, I'm pretty sure he's not with the Kings anymore. Is Vlade I bet you K1's impressed I could say Vlade Divac. But yeah, I agree with you on that. He was not very good at his job, Vlade Divac. Not at all. Kelsey does not have a good record for first pick and ringing the bell. Okay, no. Oh, man. Guys. I don't know. My confidence level in the Daryl Morey situation is literally 1,000% zero. Zero. And the fact that so many different rumors are floating around, either Morey's playing things next level, and he's smarter than we realize, or he doesn't have a set game plan. He's got a board with 20 ideas on it, but no game plan on how to attack the board. And that's my fear. There's way too many rumors floating around here. Way too many of them for there to be a concise plan of attack this offseason for Daryl Morey. I'm sensing a heel turn. My comment 2 sentences in. Let me go up to the top of the board here. If I can get that high. I can't retype it. I can't get all the way up there. I just tried to get all the way up to the top there, and now the whole screen's funked up now. If you retype your comment, and then I'll say it. He's probably departed. I read that as deported. Forfeit because I missed your first comment. 450. Okay, my bad. I wish. How many games do you have the Phillies taking this series? Who cares? This is something. You know what? Let's switch to the Phillies here for the final 5 minutes of the show. And let me bitch about the Phillies for a second. Actually, not the Phillies. Baseball. Tonight's game, one of those idiotic games on Apple TV. I don't get Apple TV. I will not be watching the Phillies game. Sunday, we got an 11:30 start time on Sunday. You've already screwed us with the London trip and the travel. Now you're going to give us an 11:30 baseball game. Can't watch it. It's on Roku TV. Who pays for Roku TV? What is baseball doing putting 2 of 3 games on behind paywall and random paywalls that nobody pays for? Like what? Why? Come on. On the flip side, we are playing the Diamondbacks this weekend at home. The Diamondbacks, 3 pitchers going. One has a 5.9 ERA. The other 2 are north of 6. We got Ranger Suarez going in one of the games, and Wheeler? Suarez and Wheeler, I think, are 2 of the 3 games. Let me bring the probables back up. Walker, Wheeler, and Sanchez. So no Ranger. It's Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler, and Walker. And the other thing, Montgomery, we talked on the show that Jordan Montgomery was a free agent far too long this offseason. Got a 6 ERA for the Diamondbacks this year. And it's not like he started cold and got better. He's bad. I mean, he's been bad all year for the Diamondbacks. So we dodged a bullet there in the starting rotation with Jordan Montgomery. I got the Phillies taking 2 or 3. I think anything less than 2 out of 3 would be a disappointment with who we've got pitching and who they've got pitching. Only thing is, I won't know because I can't watch any of the games. Not ideal. Not a good sign. One simply does not meh in our comment. I don't know what comment we're talking about here. All this hesitation for Morey makes me think he doesn't know what he's doing. Absolutely. He's got ideas. He's got, thoughts. But he has no idea how to act on the thoughts or It's prioritizing the thoughts. I don't have Apple and Sundays on Roku, which I don't have. I'm not watching either game. I don't know what this kind of comment is. There's a spam comment in the comment sections from Facebook. Will not put that off. Talk to him, Quinyon. I have to hide and type at work, hence the typos. I'm not the comment. Are you going heel on me, Eric? Don't you believe in me? I believe in Joe Hendry, Eric. You should believe in me. Mitchie Poo, what's that, like 14 now? Welcome to my world with Apple TV. I will never, ever pay for Apple TV. Like, I have no desire to. What, to watch a Union game? And to watch one Phillies game a year? No. Stupid. Eric, I don't know what comment you're talking about. Retype the comment, and then I'll besmirch it. Hey, I meh. It's my God-given right as an American to meh. I will die on the meh hill. Probably am dying on the meh. Gotcha. I got you. I got you. But seriously, baseball. All right, you want to put games on Apple TV for every team once a year, twice a year, whatever. But don't 2 out of 3 games between that and Roku TV. Like I don't get it. Why does baseball why do sports leagues screw Philly fans and Philly sports teams with schedules, TV things, all of it? It's everybody versus Philly in the world. That's pretty frustrating. Pretty much sucks. It does. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the follow button. You're watching Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. 7-day-a-week program. You're not going to want to miss Steel Steps tonight at 10 p.m. Our wrestling show on the channel. TNA Tag Team Champion Eddie Edwards, formerly of the Wolves. I'm a big Eddie Edwards fan. He's been interviewed for tonight's show, so make sure you check them out. But make sure you subscribe to Edge of Philly Sports so you don't miss 7-day-a-week programming, post-game shows. Be curious to see who's doing post-game shows this weekend for the Phillies, and if they have Roku TV to do a post-game show. But jam-packed every single day of the week right here, so make sure you're locked in and loaded. Another great week is over. Next week, jam-packed week. Got a special guest on Monday. Monday might be slightly pre-recorded. We'll see how Monday plays out. But Jason Lee from PHL 17, radio, TV, everything. It's going to be my guest on Monday. So you're not going to want to miss Jason Lee, who's got 30 years in the media business. And somebody I consider a mentor and friend joining me. So we're going to talk to Jason Lee about a lot of things on Monday. So you're going to want to miss that. We are going to do next week a Howie Roseman Appreciation Day. Because of all this drama with Daryl Morey, but we've got to show Howie Roseman more appreciation. And I'm working on it. My power rankings, things that need to go right for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. There are things that I got written down as maybes. Morey definitely doesn't know what he's doing when Xbox turns on and you hear Morey's BlackBerry power off the 7632. Yeah, on a side note from this comment, I was a huge BlackBerry fan. I loved the BlackBerry. I mean, that probably explains a lot about who I am as a person. I couldn't wait to upgrade my BlackBerry every year. I loved the BlackBerry. I had 2 or 3 BlackBerries. I did. I loved them. Shame when they went out of business. So check the Apple schedule. They're somehow showing the Yankees game tonight, which starts at the same time. How can that be? So we're not even. So I don't even know. I don't. I'll go to Stream East. Stream East is a free, sort of illegal site. Lots of pop-ups, but you can get free access to every single Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Union game there is. Pretty much any sporting event anywhere, they have it on a slight delay. And a lot of pop-ups that you got to click through to get to the game. But that's how I'll watch the game if I watch it. That's right. Go Birds, ring the bell. Bubbles up. Don't need to put the question mark next to bubbles up. It's just straight. Bubbles up. Hit that like button on the way to the weekend. That's right. The weekend is here. It is going to be hot as hell this weekend. So make sure you stay cool. Stay hydrated. Won't be out in the sun too long. Check on your pets. Check on your elderly. Very important to do that as we get set. Guys, with that being said, like Duck said, we are going to end it right there. Have a great weekend, everybody. The book is closed for the week. Just like that. It's very simple. It's Go Birds. It's Ring the Bell. I am Phil Stiefel. This is Trending in the AM on Edge of Philly Sports. It's going to just be. Have a great weekend and stay hydrated and bubbles up.